All right, so get ready, because today we're diving into something really fascinating.
The subliminal.
Subliminals.
Oh, yeah.
But not like the typical, manifest $1 million kind of subliminals. We're talking about subliminals for, like, physical changes.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's when we get into some really interesting territory, right? Like changing your physical attributes just by listening to audio makes you think about how powerful belief can be.
Exactly. And that's exactly what we're going to be looking at in this deep dive. It's all inspired by this YouTube video I saw by Simone Squared, where she tries to use subliminals to manifest something. Pretty wild, actually. She's trying to grow taller.
Really?
Yeah.
Like physically taller?
Uh-huh. Just by listening to audio.
I mean, that's a pretty bold claim, right?
Totally. So in her video, she kind of explains what subliminals are, basically these audio tracks or sometimes videos that are meant to like reprogram your subconscious.
Okay.
But the messages themselves are hidden, like you don't actually hear them.
So it's like they bypass your conscious awareness?
Yeah, exactly. It's like sneaking in the back door to your brain and planting these suggestions without you even realizing it.
That's kind of creepy,
I know, right?
but also kind of cool.
Yeah. But here's the thing.
What's that?
Even Simone Squared herself, she was skeptical at first about subliminals that claimed to change your physical body.
Really?
Yeah, she was like, okay, I believe subliminals can work for things like attracting certain events or opportunities, but when it comes to actually like changing your physical body, she was like, I don't know about that.
That's interesting.
It is.
Because in the video, she admits that she wants to change everything physically.
I know, right? Like
Yeah.
she's saying she doesn't believe it, but at the same time, she wants to change everything.
It's almost like there's a part of her that does believe it's possible.
Totally. It's like that complex relationship so many of us have with our bodies, you know? Like we have all these desires, even ones that seem to contradict each other.
Yeah, definitely.
And another interesting thing, Simone Squared says she's actually had success using subliminals before. Not for height, but for manifesting other things in her life.
Like what kinds of things?
Well, she doesn't really go into specifics, but she describes it as being like magic.
Like magic, huh?
Yeah.
Well, that brings us to the law of attraction, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
The idea that our thoughts and beliefs can actually shape our reality.
Right. Like if you believe something strongly enough, it will happen.
Exactly. It's an idea that's been around for ages.
Yeah.
And there's definitely something to it. The idea that our minds have this immense power in shaping our experiences.
Okay, so we've got subliminals working on a subconscious level, and then we have this whole law of attraction thing about the power of belief. I'm starting to see how they might be connected.
Well, absolutely. They both tap into the power of our subconscious minds, right?
Right.
So with subliminals, the idea is that by feeding your subconscious specific affirmations, you can start to influence outcomes, whether it's attracting certain events, or in this case, maybe even influencing physical changes.
Okay, so let's talk about Simone Squared's height goals. She wanted to be a giant, like the tallest person in the room.
Wow.
I know. She's aiming for at least 5'10", maybe even 6'2".
That's pretty ambitious.
Right. Especially considering she wasn't even totally sure of her starting height. She mentions in the video that she's somewhere between 5'6" and 5'7".
Yeah, figuring out your exact height can be surprisingly tricky.
I know, right? Like, are you standing up straight enough? Is the measuring tape level?
Exactly. It's funny how even something as seemingly objective as height can have this element of subjectivity to it.
Totally. But going back to her desire to be so tall.
Yeah. What do you think might be driving that aspiration?
Well, she jokes about it being a power thing. But even if it's a joke, I think it touches on some interesting psychological factors. I mean, height is often associated with things like dominance and confidence, even attractiveness in our society.
Absolutely. So wanting to be significantly taller than average could definitely stem from a desire to embody those qualities or even challenge societal norms.
Right. Okay, so how did she go about this whole height increasing experiment? She listened to subliminals for a full week, day and night.
Wow.
I know, right? Like constant subliminal audio.
So there's like elevator music?
Not quite. She played them while she was awake, while she was sleeping. She even incorporated visualization techniques.
Whoa, she was really committed to this.
Yeah, talk about dedication, right?
Yeah.
And throughout the week, she documented her experience. And there were some pretty interesting observations. Like on day 3, someone told her she looked taller.
Oh.
Then on day 5, a friend commented on her height, too.
But wasn't she wearing different clothes each time?
Yeah, that's the thing. On day 3, she was wearing these high-waisted pants, and on day 5, she was wearing regular track pants.
So it's hard to say if there was any actual change in height.
Yeah, exactly.
But I do think those comments could have played a role.
In what way?
Well, it might have reinforced her belief that the subliminals were working. Remember, we talked about the law of attraction. Belief can be a key factor in manifesting things.
Right, so if you start believing you're taller, maybe you carry yourself differently, you stand up straighter, and those subtle shifts could make you appear taller, even if your actual height hasn't changed.
Exactly. It's really interesting how external validation, even if it might be unrelated to the subliminals themselves, can potentially influence the whole manifestation process.
So it's like a mind-body loop. Your beliefs influence your body, and then your body reinforces those beliefs.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay, so after a week of subliminal listening and visualizing, it was time for the moment of truth. The final measurement.
Drum roll, please.
She documented the whole thing on camera, using a pencil mark on the wall to compare her height to the initial measurement she took at the beginning of the week. And the results. Did she actually grow taller?
Well, according to her measurements, yeah, she claims to have grown about 1 centimeter.
1 centimeter.
Yeah.
It's not exactly giant status, but
Still,
that's got to count for something, right?
it is measurable.
Yeah.
Yeah. But before we jump to any conclusions, I think it's important to remember all those variables she talked about. Like, how accurate were the measurements, really?
True.
And what about things like sleep? Or even those natural fluctuations in height that happen throughout the day?
Yeah, she does say in the video that she grew taller despite the lack of empirical evidence.
Right. Which brings us back to the power of belief.
Okay, so maybe the subliminals themselves didn't directly cause her to grow, but maybe her belief in them somehow influenced things, like her posture.
Exactly.
Maybe she was stretching more, or even just her perception of her own height could have been affected.
Right. The mind-body connection is a powerful thing.
So are we saying it's all in her head?
Not necessarily all in her head, but there's this fascinating concept called the placebo effect, where simply believing that something will work can actually lead to real, measurable changes in the body.
Oh, yeah, like when people feel better after taking a sugar pill.
Yeah.
Because they think it's real medicine. So you're thinking maybe something similar could be happening with Simone Squared and her belief in the subliminals.
It's definitely a possibility. I mean, studies have shown that belief can impact all sorts of things, from pain perception to immune response. So it's not a huge leap to think that belief might also influence other aspects of our physicality, even something like height.
I never really thought about it that way. It's like if we're constantly telling ourselves, I'm too short, that belief might actually be manifesting in how we carry ourselves, how we perceive our own bodies.
Exactly. And on the flip side, if we start feeding our minds with positive affirmations, like, I am tall and confident, maybe those beliefs can start to manifest in subtle yet tangible ways.
Okay, my mind is kind of blown right now. So even if the subliminals themselves aren't magically stretching our bones, the belief they cultivate could be the real catalyst for change.
It's definitely an intriguing possibility, right? And it goes beyond just physical changes, too. Think about the implications for personal growth and self-improvement. What if we could harness that same power of belief to achieve our goals in other areas of our lives?
Okay, I'm hooked. This is starting to feel less like a deep dive into subliminals and more like a deep dive into the potential of the human mind.
I think that's a great way to put it. Simone Squared's experiment. Whether we believe the results or not, it really opens up this bigger conversation about the power of belief and its potential impact on our experiences.
So what does all this mean for the rest of us? Those of us who aren't necessarily trying to grow taller through subliminals, what's the takeaway here?
I think it invites us to pay more attention to our inner world, to become more aware of the thoughts and beliefs that are shaping our experiences, both consciously and subconsciously.
It's like we're not even aware of the stories we're telling ourselves half the time.
Right. It's like we're on autopilot.
Yeah, totally. But do you think we can change those narratives?
Oh, absolutely. We're not just passive recipients of our experiences. We can actively shape our realities through our thoughts, beliefs, and actions.
Wow, that's
super powerful.
Yeah.
But also kind of daunting when you think about it.
It is. It means we really need to pay attention to what we're telling ourselves. Are those stories helping us or holding us back?
Right.
Are they based on fear or possibility?
Yeah, those are the questions we need to ask ourselves. Are these beliefs actually serving me? Are they aligned with who I want to be and what I want to achieve?
So we started this deep dive asking, can subliminals make you taller? But it's become something much bigger than that, hasn't it?
It really has. Simone Squared's experiment. Whether we believe the results or not, it's opened up this whole realm of possibilities.
Yeah.
It's made us think about the power of belief, the mind-body connection, and the incredible potential we all have to shape our own realities.
This is one of those episodes that's going to stick with me for a while. It's like a wake-up call to be more intentional with my thoughts.
That's great.
Yeah.
I think it's a really valuable takeaway from this deep dive. It's not about blindly accepting everything you hear about subliminals.
Yeah.
But it is about recognizing how powerful our minds are and how much influence they have on our experiences.
So it's less about the subliminals themselves and more about recognizing that we have more agency than we think.
Exactly.
Okay, so as we wrap up this exploration of subliminals and the power of belief, we want to leave you with this thought. What if the key to unlocking your full potential, to achieving your goals, to living a more fulfilling life, what if it all lies within your own mind?
It's a powerful question, and one that's definitely worth pondering.
For sure.
So we encourage you to explore your own beliefs, challenge your assumptions, and really embrace the possibility that you have more power than you ever imagined.
Yeah, and remember this journey of self-discovery. It's ongoing.
It is.
There's always more to learn, more to explore, and more to believe in.
Well said.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.